Super Mario Brothers.
You blow my brains out, you burn the house down, and then you kill yourself.
Dangerous Game.
Your actions in life have all been cursed because of all the witches' ways and the worst.
Hocus Pocus. What do these three films have in common? Well, one of us, or maybe even both of us, thinks they're among the worst films of 1993. And on this special edition of Siskel and Ebert, we'll be looking at the disasters of the year that just ended, the movies we disliked the most in '93. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune, and we really look forward to doing this show because these films have taken 2 hours out of our lives, and we just want to give them one last shot before they disappear into the bags of video shelves. And what we've done is each pick our own worst films, and they just happen to arrange themselves into various categories, like our first one, bad TV comedy remakes. There were many to choose from this year. My first choice, The Beverly Hillbillies. And I truly question whether anyone really tried to make a good picture here. All they've done is remake the pilot of the original TV show, starting with the Beverly Hillbillies' country origins and their arrival in Beverly Hills.
Hey, Jethro, we're supposed to go that way.
Bunch of nothings.
That's real nice, son. This here's what I carry.
Okay, go.
And that comes after a long, dumb scene in their country cabin. When we know all this stuff, it should have been handled in a 5-minute title sequence, and then they could have taken the characters and used them in a parody of L.A. life. Granny getting a facelift, maybe. Ellie Mae on the casting couch. Jethro as the pool boy at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Anything but these tired old jokes. I'm thrilled the film was not the mega hit the studio hoped for. It didn't deserve to be.
It didn't, you know, and the problem is they didn't apparently at a key level of production when the movie was getting started have the desire to do something original. They thought they already had the movie in hand. We've paid the money. We're going to make the Beverly Hillbillies. It can't fail. There's no need to try to do anything special with it.
That's the part they didn't try that offends me so much.
That's right. Okay, my choice for the worst material recycled from television is Coneheads, which proves that if you're going to stretch a Saturday Night Live sketch to feature length, it's going to take more than 20 heads to make it funny. This is a dismal, dreary, and fairly desperate movie in which the actors try hard, real hard, but they are unable to overcome an uninspired screenplay. The movie stars Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin back in the roles they created on SNL during the 1976-77 season. After their spaceship crash lands on Earth, they try to become a typical American family living in New Jersey.
Standard 3-horsepower internal combustion chlorophyll stock slicer. There is fuel in the device?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of gas in there. I just can't get the damn thing to kick over.
Perhaps you and Larry will join us for consumption of mass quantities this weekend. We will ignite our new flame pit and char some mammal flesh for you.
That sounds like fun. I'll make some coleslaw.
Ah, coleslaw. We will enjoy it.
There are lots of sight gags about Conehead eating habits in this movie. They like the vacuum cleaner, for example, to feed directly into their mouth. But the movie is basically just a curious series of events on the screen recording the behavior of these strange characters in their bizarre ways. The story doesn't build into comedy, and it's not really funny by itself. Coneheads is, in fact, a multi-million-dollar demonstration of something a lot of people discovered in high school at parties, and that is, it doesn't make you a comedian just because you put on a funny hat.
Or funny head. Yeah. I agree with you. You know, the standard here is the Wayne's World films, which were so wonderful. They took the characters and they do stand for youth and, you know, why kids are into heavy metal music and a put down of pretense in art and Jim Morrison films and the Doors. They're about something. Here, the Coneheads, it is just behavior of stuff that would work in a 2-minute bit on Saturday Night Live.
They thought they had it.
Yes.
They didn't think, gee, for a 2-hour movie, it has to be special. They thought this was popular, so it'll be popular again, and that isn't always the case.
Coming up next, special effects fiasco.
It's one thing to make an actor fly, it's another thing to make a movie fly, and Hocus Pocus definitely did not. Continuing our special edition on the worst movies of 1993, in this segment, we're specializing in bloated special effects movies, and which special effects movie last year was more bloated than Hocus Pocus? A movie about Halloween that was so overblown it was almost impossible to follow or even understand. The movie starred Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker as three witches from the bad old days in Salem, Massachusetts, who were reborn to frighten a cast of modern-day kids. But there was so much swooping and shrieking, so many special effects, so much hocus, so much pocus, that some scenes were reduced to a chaotic jumble.
Hello there. Let me see your driver's permit.
I have the feeling that in filming Hocus Pocus, the filmmakers got caught up in the moment. They found individual gags funny, or maybe it was funny on the set, or they thought the characters were basically funny, or they thought they could count on the special effects to save the day. But the result, to quote another work of fiction featuring three witches, was sound and fury signifying nothing.
Yeah, to have Bette Midler, you know, a comic treasure in this picture, and not to give her really anything to do that's funny except just flop around, I think that's a very big mistake. By comparison, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, where you have the Halloween characters try to take over Santa Claus. Now, there's a story that would have been potentially a move with, if you will, witches, Halloween, but they didn't try to have the witches do anything special except scare the kids. Why not have them get involved in society, try to blend in with the family life, anything but this.
Yes, and also this movie was so dark and murky, it was hard to see it at times.
I think that's because it's easier to do the special effects when they're dark.
Maybe so.
Our next dog of the year, my choice in the bad special effects category, Super Mario Brothers. And this could have been a cult hit many different ways. If anyone, for example, had bothered to have fun kidding the cliches of video games or just present a fresh, high-tech look. Instead, they tried to make the dull video game characters come alive with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as brothers trying to save a damsel in distress.
Oh, man.
Well, at least he was my father. He used to be the leader here until Koopa turned him into all this fungus.
Oh, well, it's an honor to meet you and a pleasure. And I just want to thank you for all your help.
Come on, Luigi. We're talking to the mildew in the shower next.
Of course they're dreary. I mean, who thought that the Super Mario Brothers images were anything but dreary? Super Mario Brothers was doomed at the conception level. The graphics are as listless as the humans. You have to constantly say to yourself, see, they're supposed to be the video game characters. That's not funny in and of itself.
I think that this actually was a very troubled movie. They had a lot of trouble with the special effects, and they should have taken more trouble with the screenplay, because obviously when they went into this project, on paper they didn't have anything that anybody would ever want to see, and I think they probably thought maybe the special effects would save it.
Roger, do you know how often we've just said what you just said on this show? We are talking about films that should not have gone to camera because the screenplay wasn't ready.
You're absolutely right. When we come back, a section specializing in psychodramas from hell.
So she's not dead. Drink. And afterwards, what?
Drink, and you will experience exactly what she experienced.
What are you talking about? Man, you were not there, man.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Harvey Keitel as a movie director in Dangerous Game, a film that fits neatly into our next category in this Worst Movies of '93 show, which is bad psychodramas. And the worst for me was Dangerous Game, also starring Madonna. It was supposed to be an inside look at counterculture filmmaking, with Madonna playing a character based on herself, a pop star having trouble acting in a movie. Here she's verbally abused by her co-star as they shoot a scene.
You're too boring to be stupid. You're dead. You're dead. Your insecurities paralyzed you. You're dead and you don't even know it. I know it.
You know, I guess we're supposed to watch it and say, wow, I bet that's how they got her performance in this film and maybe others she's made. And aren't the makers of this movie smart? And isn't she brave to open herself up for such abuse? It's ridiculous. Sometimes the best way to kill an idea in a story writing session is to ask yourself, even if it works, will anybody care? Dangerous Game was just an abusive, violent ego trip, I think, by its director, Abel Ferrara.
And he's made some very good movies, of course, including Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel. But here, the problem was they apparently, I think, depended overmuch on improvisation and inspiration. They went in there with a camera. Obviously, these actors are foundering. They don't know what their dialogue is. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And that's a part of the fact that they're playing people who don't know their dialogue or don't know what they're...
Right.
So that there's just whole stretches in the film which are dead because there's no engine driving it. There's nobody at the controls.
And the specific characters that are written are really not specific.
You got it. My choice in the psychodrama from Hell section is the Hollywood version of a superb European thriller named The Vanishing. The remake starred Kiefer Sutherland as a man whose girlfriend simply disappears one day at a highway oasis. He devotes his life to searching for her, while at the same time we learn the identity of the man who abducted her, and we also learn her fate. Sutherland is eventually driven to such desperation, he will do anything to discover what happened to his lover.
Is this what you want?
Take it off.
Why? You obviously can't live without her, and I believe in giving my man what he wants. So you know what? You can call me Diane, and I'll treat you like for a while, and then I'll disappear without a trace.
Take it off.
The very worst thing about The Vanishing is the way they rewrote the ending. In the European version, because this, of course, is the American remake, the ending was chilling and unforgiving. It was the essence of existential dread. In the American remake, it turned into a routine exploitation siege with a good guy waiting until the last moment to pound the villain over the head with a shovel. Study the differences between these two versions carefully, and you will get the idea that European movies are made for adults and American movies are made for dim-witted adolescents. Now, what is amazing is that both the good European and the bad American versions of The Vanishing were directed by the same man, George Slizer, who trashed his own film.
Or at least was complicitous. I mean, he went for the gold.
Yes, he did.
And
he didn't get it.
No, he got a bad movie.
You know what's amazing? I think that the original European movie probably wound up making more money than the remake.
There's a lesson there. Coming up next, there's nothing worse than when a comedy doesn't get laughed. More of the worst of '93 coming up next.
Check, please. Survey of the year's worst films. Our next category is comedies that weren't comedies. And my choice is a movie named The Opposite Sex and How to Live With Them. Kind of an ungrammatical title. It starred Harry Gross as a stockbroker and Courtney Cox as an aide in the mayor's office, although neither one of these characters seems smart enough to fill out an employment application. They're supposed to be opposites, but actually they come from exactly the same world, which is the twilight zone of sitcom land, where a conversation consists of straight lines, punchlines, one-liners, and funny little asides to themselves, friends, and the audience. It's the kind of dialogue that sounds weird without a laugh track.
Come on, the guy could care less about appearances. I mean, the way he perceived the world in his mind, he was a genius.
Yeah, agreed, albeit, you know, a sick, nutty genius. This is a guy who lopped off his ear and Federal expressed it to his honey.
Benny, babe, what are you thinking? Huh? Walk with me, talk to me. You don't cut off anything for anybody, not above the waist, not below. It ain't worth it.
The movie drives you nuts with one dumb scene after another in which boring people say boring things in boring places, and then sometimes they direct monologues directly at the screen, and then the movie has the nerve to tack on one of those endings in which everything depends on one character being able to find another character at a time and place when no living person could possibly have found him there.
You know, it's a real bold move in the movies when you turn to the camera and break the rhythm, the energy between the characters, and you turn to the camera. You better have something very funny to say if you're going to make that move. Woody Allen can get away with something like that, not the characters that are written here, and they do it time and time again in this picture. It falls apart completely.
Yes, it does.
When comedies don't work, and everyone in the audience knows it, that is about as low as it gets, and that sinking feeling was everywhere during Mel Brooks' latest film parody, Robin Hood Men in Tights, where the great comedian has clearly lost his way, pacing his obvious jokes so slowly.
Hey, Rabbi! Who calls? It is I, Robin. We wish to get married in a hurry.
Married in a hurry? That's wonderful. Wait! I'm on my last custom. I'll be right out. Put a little ice on it, it'll be fine.
I think Brooks has to realize he's competing in a high-stakes game now with the Naked Gun pictures and the airplane comedies. Those movie makers pack their scripts with multiple jokes in the same frame, sometimes one in the foreground, one in the background. Movie comedy, I think, is threatening to pass Mel Brooks by, and by the way, his old comedy partner Carl Reiner didn't do any better with his parody film, Fatal Instinct. Both films, not good.
Both of them real disappointments, and I think, once again, the problem might have been that, first of all, the targets we're not really seen as targets. I mean, in a sense, the Fatal Instinct movie is kind of about the whole genre of slasher women and so forth. But,
for a part of it.
But yet, it's very hard to parody something for 2 hours when it doesn't really present that big of a target.
And that's the Robin Hood Men in Tights film that I'm really selecting because I just don't think, you know, other than Men in Tights, that's the joke.
Yeah, come to think of it, it is. When we come back, 2 films in a category all by themselves. The worst films of 1993.
I'm your worst nightmare.
This is necessarily arbitrary, but I tried to think of the movie from 1993 that I most wouldn't want to see again. The one where I'd say, I'll go to the dentist instead. That has to be Burt Reynolds' latest, Cop and a Half. Yet another cop buddy picture from Burt, this time with him opposite a kid, Norman D. Golden.
There's a shipment of euphoria coming in.
Mm-hmm. Where?
Don't know, but I got a name.
What's the name?
I really want to give you this name. You put me on duty, it's yours.
Let's face it, I'll admit it. Burt Reynolds in a bad movie, and he's so many, makes my skin crawl. He's unctuous and insincere in pictures like this. I like him in other films. In the bad ones, he's really bad. And he also looks just plain tired. That has nothing to do with his personal life. I'm talking about what's up on the screen in Cop and a Half. And the only thing more unnerving than this picture is that my esteemed colleague across the aisle, so wise, so often, is the only major film critic in America who actually recommended Cop and a Half.
Norman D. Golden was just wonderful in this film. Now, you have to admit it.
No, I don't have to admit it. He's an okay movie. He's a Hollywood acting kid.
He was very good.
He's not the problem. The problem is the script. The problem is very funny, and Burt Reynolds is tired. And,
well,
and he should be in cop buddy
you
pictures.
just got up on the wrong side of bed.
As did the rest of America.
Okay, now, I'm not sure I'm the only major film critic who didn't
I am
like
sure,
it.
Rod.
Because you're probably saying anybody else who liked it isn't major.
I don't know if anyone liked it, but no major critics liked it. No one that you respect.
Glad to see that whenever I like a movie that you dislike, you have that national survey that you
I'm aware of it.
Okay, now since your worst film of the year is one that I liked, I'm only too happy to return the compliment,
that's
Gene.
sweet.
My worst film of 1993, to which you gave thumbs up, is Carnosaur, an all but incoherent dinosaur thriller that was rushed into release to cash in on the advanced publicity for Jurassic Park. The movie starred Diane Ladd as a mad geneticist who wanted to wipe out the human race and replace it with dinosaurs, although judging by the look of the dinosaurs in this scene, she needs to spend a lot more time stitching together those DNA chains.
Oh, the human being is the worst. Human species is a disaster. And they gotta be stopped.
And you appointed yourself for the job.
Well, as my mentor, Dr. Moreau, said, in the study of nature, one must become as remorseless as nature herself.
And those are the dinosaurs, Gene, you gave thumbs up to. Diane Ladd does give a crazed intensity to her performance in this movie, but she's been so good in so many better movies that it's no favor to call attention to this one, especially with its scenes of women giving birth to dinosaurs, little baby dinosaurs, and the master plan to wipe out half the human race by killing all the men. Now, a scientist should know that if you kill that half of the race, the other half is sure to follow unless the dinosaurs take over, which I think was the plan. Now, I've got to give you credit, though, Gene, in your original review of Carnosaur, you did correctly predict that Steven Spielberg's dinosaurs would be more convincing, and you were right about that.
I was right about it.
All the major critics in America would agree with you.
No. That's a better film. But the point is that this had a lot of fun going on with it. You liked her performance then, and when I explained the story to you the first time through, you said, oh, now I understand.
Oh, come on.
Roger,
now you're making this
Roger,
up.
here's
come
the
on.
real
What
best.
do you mean,
No. Here is the test. We'll have a double bill. People can go to see Cop and a Half, Roger Ebert recommending it, or Carnosaur, a funky, offbeat, wild science fiction film. Which one will they like best? Which one did you like best? Which one did you like best?
Cop and a Half.
He said it again, ladies and gentlemen.
And you know, I love the way you described that double bill, giving your own movie all of the wonderful adjectives and mine giving it all the,
That's it for this special show. We'll be back next week with another special program, Siskel and Ebert's Memo to the Academy. The nominating ballots for this year's Academy Awards have already been sent out, and we'll lobby Oscar voters with the names and titles they should not overlook when they select their nominees. Will we remind them about Carnosaur or Cop and a Half? That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
It's America's favorite jelly bean, Jelly Belly. Now in new 20 and 40 flavor gift boxes, the original gourmet jelly bean, Jelly Belly. If you'd like to save up to 50% on your contact lenses, eyeglasses, and eye exams, call for a free Lens Express catalog and find out how you can start saving right away. New Dromedary Bakery Bread Machine Mix, the one-step way to bake gourmet bread machine breads. If it doesn't say made with real Fleischmann's yeast, it's not Dromedary Bakery. Bigfoot Pizza from Pizza Hut, only $10.99 for the largest single pizza you can have delivered. Bigfoot Pizza, a legendary value.